Apologies for this is long. My dad and I flip houses for a living. We do everything, so house renovations can take anywhere from a couple of months to a year and up. Here's what happened to us in a 100-plus-year-old farmhouse in northwest New Jersey, USA about 3 years ago. This old farmhouse was beautiful, but extremely run down. It had sat vacant prior to our purchasing it for 15 years. Also, there was evidence squatters had been there at one point. The house had good bones as they say, so it wasn't worth it to tear it down and start from scratch. The first part of our job is the cleanup and demo. I've noticed that every house has its own vibe and energy. However, this old farmhouse was different. It was 4 floors, including basement and attic. Anytime you were downstairs on the main floor, kitchen, living room and office, it felt fine, normal even. When you went upstairs it was different. There was a heaviness up there. I would announce every time I came in the house, "Hey, it's just me. Is it cool if I come up to do such and such?" I also would announce myself anytime I came into the house downstairs with a, "Hey, how you doing today?" My dad would look at me like I was crazy because I never did this anywhere else, ever. Why I did it here, I just felt the need to. Like a deep itch in my brain, pleading me to say it, so I did. Each and every time. Within the first few days of the clean out and demo my dad found something disturbing. In the master bedroom upstairs, there was a small closet with a light in it. Hanging on the inside of the closet door on a coat hook, was a bloody dog collar. There were weird symbols spray painted only in this closet. Something looked like it had been burned in a pile on the floor of the closet. I refused to touch it and got extremely upset at the sight of the dog collar. Furious even. WTF would do something to a poor animal like this? I was so bothered my dad told me to go home for the day and I did. Ugh, makes me sick thinking about the sick fucks who did whatever to have something like that there. My dad and other coworker cleaned it out. Also, the light in that closet we never got to work. We do minor electrical repairs and couldn't figure it out. Had a master electrician come, they couldn't get it to work either. New light fixture, new wiring, new everything and nothing worked. When we had finished cleaning out the living quarters we decided to work on the attic and basement. Basement was okay. Honestly the bottom half of the house, basement and second floor/kitchen, office and living room, felt fine, neutral even. The attic was terrible. I could not bring myself to go up there, not once. To not be an asshole, I worked on the other floors of the house. My dad understood without me even having to explain, which speaks volumes because he is real skeptical. One day, I had to hold the flashlight for my dad while he was in the attic. I stood on the stairs with only my head and upper torso sticking into the attic space. The lights never would work up there either. This attic had one of those pulled down from the ceiling/foldable ladders. It was located in the hallway between the master bedroom, second bedroom and only bathroom. The second we opened it a rank-ass smell hit us hard in the face. Death. For sure, something must have died up here we thought. There were those large, black flies that seemed to swarm to rot in death everywhere. To say it was an infestation of flies is an understatement. I stood on the ladder, almost falling multiple times from ferociously swatting these demon bugs away. My dad looked everywhere for the cause of the flies, for days and couldn't find anything. Before we sold the house, we finally got the flies to go away. This was after months of trying BTW. However, when the new owner chose to rent the house out, the flies kept coming back. To this day, almost 3 years later, exterminators/pest control have been called and the flies still come back. The master bedroom had something else happen after the closet was cleaned up. I talked my dad into burying the dog collar BTW. There were 4 windows in the master. 2 windows on the north wall and 2 on the west. The north wall windows one day suddenly had 2 bats on them. They were somehow wedged between the glass and the screen of this old window. We needed to replace all the windows, so we tried everything to free the bats without hurting them. We worked during the day, so bats being nocturnal we figured it explained why they never moved during the day. When we would come the next day, they seemed to have moved overnight so we knew that they were alive. These poor bats had me seriously fretting. Any dead bugs I found during the cleanup, I would put into this windowsill, hoping they would eat. I know that's weird, but I'm a die-hard animal lover. It appeared they were stuck and it was killing me to see them like that. It made no logical sense how they got in there either. Also, It was early summer, so they weren't hibernating either. My dad and I decided to get a ladder and try from the outside of the house. He finally got it so that the bats could undoubtedly get out. The bats never moved from that window screen for weeks. Then one day, they were gone. I thought for a long time my dad had discovered they were dead and disposed of them as to not upset me. He promises he didn't do this and that after weeks of them moving barely inches they had indeed left of their own volition. We finished the house and sold the house. The new owner rented it out to tenants. Tenants would move in, stay for a month or two, then break their leases and move out. This has happened 4 times since we finished. After each move out, we were contracted to come and do a fresh coat of paint, deep clean, patch up a hole or any other fix needed. The feeling in the house never changed. Also, wanted to add that we told the new owner about all the weirdness prior to them purchasing. My dad is a skeptical guy and has no explanation for any of this stuff. My dad also now announces himself anytime we go into the house. We met every tenant that lives there at some point in their rental time. They all seem like normal people and not the type to just break their leases for no reason. I feel like the house needs a cleansing or something. To whoever did that poor dog and house dirty, may you reap what you sow. Background: I forget how old I was when this happened. Maybe like 19? Anyway, I was hanging out with Jamie, Brittany and let's call her Muriel. We had spent the day together and decided to wrap it up with going to see a movie in theaters. Just as the movie was ending, Jamie got a call from her mom and the poor woman sounded extremely spooked. She said something was in her house but that she and Jamie's sister didn't know what it was. She asked us all to come over, so we left the theater and rushed over to her house. When we got there, I could sense something was just off, and apparently I wasn't the only one because Jamie, Brittany, and Mariel unanimously agreed that they didn't like the atmosphere in the house, either. Jamie's mother told us that she and Jamie's sister, we'll call her Ariel, were just hanging out in the master bedroom and watching some television when suddenly the family dog, Sammy, started barking seemingly at nothing. They tried to calm him down, but he kept staring at the same spot on the wall where the bedroom door and bathroom section connected. At first, they couldn't see anything, but as they watched, Sammy got out of their grip and ran over to the wall, still barking and now growling, too. As he did, a shadow suddenly revealed itself and glided up the wall and into the bathroom where a curtain that had been secured down suddenly shot up with a bang, followed by a whirring sound, before going silent. That's when they hurried downstairs and her mom called us. They didn't want to be alone there, and we didn't blame them. At a loss for what else to do, we all gathered in a circle and started praying. Jamie's mom told us all not to open our eyes until we were all done, but I glanced up because I was curious and to this day, I wish that I hadn't. There, in the corner of the living room where we were at, I saw a figure standing there. It was blacker than black, like a solid mass that the light couldn't pierce. It was staring right at me. Scared out of my wits, I immediately closed my eyes and started praying harder, and just like that, the air in the room cleared up, like the heaviness had been sucked out of it, and everyone, including myself, felt lighter. We thought that was the last of it, so we all went out to the front porch to talk and joke around, to try to take the edge off and process, you know? Everything was fine for a few minutes when out of nowhere, Sammy started barking like crazy and running down the driveway. I saw the same black figure sort of flying or floating or something down the driveway as Sammy tore after it, and then it just sort of shot up and disappeared. Sammy stopped barking as soon as it was gone and trotted back over to us, tongue lolling, tail wagging, as if nothing had happened. I'm not sure what it was or what happened to it, but to this day, the memory of that thing, whatever it was, lurks in the corner of my mind. Many years ago I used to work night shift at a hotel in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. During the season it wasn't so bad, mostly families and stuff. We had on-site security then too. However, in the off-season, the winter months was different. The cheap weekly rates we'd offer attracted a lot of creepy people. The idea was supposed to be to make money in the off-season by renting to what is known as snowbirds. Older retired people who came to the beach for a month or more through the winter. It did not always work out that way though. The cheap rates made it possible for a less than desirable element to become long-term residents. I've discovered more than my fair share of meth labs, broken up physical assaults, and more during the winter months. Working third shift, I would meet some interesting people. The cold weather would mean some homeless people would come in and get warm and grab a cup of free coffee. I wasn't supposed to let them, but it's not in me to be cruel. I would let them grab a coffee and get warm for a minute as long as they didn't cause trouble. As you can see, night shift in the winter made for some crazy and sometimes creepy stories. I have a lot, but this one is one that stands out, because it didn't end well for me. I had a great night up to this point. I had gone to an indie wrestling show with my best friend before work. In fact, I had agreed to come in an hour early the next night for the young lady that worked second shift in exchange for her working an hour late for me on this night, so I could enjoy the wrestling show. Ironically enough, I met Terry Funk that night, a wrestling legend known for his hardcore and bloody matches. Little did I know I was about to experience this kind of violence for real. I was supposed to be there at midnight due to her working over an hour for me. I normally came in at 11 p.m. I counted the register and she briefed me on her shift as to what had happened as per usual. As she was leaving, my friend, we will call him Andrew, pulled up. He works second shift maintenance at this hotel, and the other two hotels are company owned. He would regularly stop by after work and go grab us some food, and we would play World of Warcraft on our laptops after eating for a while since business was so slow. He was just getting my money in order for food and getting ready to leave. I was excited, telling him about how much fun I had at the wrestling show and was showing him my Terry Funk t-shirt I was so proud of. I was just walking into the back office to put the shirt up, when I heard the doorbell indicating a customer had entered. It is true what they say, ask not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. I had turned around when I heard someone say something loudly, but I still couldn't make out what they had said. I had just reached the doorway when I saw Andrew just fall down in front of me. Even though I was at our other hotel when I came back to work night shift, I was still nervous. Every time the door chimed, I tensed up. I couldn't afford to quit though, as I said I had 3 kids I was supporting. They never caught the guys as far as I know. A detective stopped by about 2 months later when I was working second. He showed me several mugshots and asked me if any of them looked familiar. I never got a great look at them as it all happened so fast. I had seen the video, which wasn't the best quality. Even so, 2 of them looked very familiar like them. I pointed them out and he asked me how sure I was. I told him honestly, like 85%. He then yelled and asked me if I wanted someone to go to jail for attempted murder on 85%. I was stunned into silence. I was the victim. I was attacked for no reason and he is yelling at me like it's my fault. I was too busy being attacked to get a good look at them. I no longer work at a hotel and night shift, and I am glad, because it is just too dangerous in this area. The next thing I know, a guy walks around the corner and punches me in the head with a short steel pipe in his hand. It staggered me and I went to one knee. The next thing I know, he hits me in the head with the pipe. The next thing I know, I hear the other guy, who I hadn't noticed to this moment, say he got away and got a cop. They left out the door. I was finally able to get to my feet. I tried to call the police from the phone in the back office, but it was having issues. I slammed it in frustration. I was hurting and scared. I was really freaking out. I realized that they could come back, so I ran, locked the door. I didn't know where Andrew had gone and that worried me. I called 911 about this time. Blood had started pouring down my head. I told the operator I had been attacked and needed an officer and ambulance. I then called the other hotel we ran to let the night manager named Travis, who was over all 3 properties, what had happened. He thought I was messing with him at first, because when we got bored we would prank each other. I finally convinced him I was not joking. He was going to lock up and come down. The cops and ambulance pulled up and I opened the door. It was at this time I found out, after they sucker punched him and knocked him down, Andrew was able to amazingly jump over the desk and escape just as a cop was driving by, which he ran to flag down for help. I ended up in the hospital ER, where I had to have 10 staples in my scalp and they gave me morphine for pain. I had no way to get home after being treated, but the doctor and nurses took pity on me and paid for a cab. My plan was to go back to work, because this was December and Christmas was coming. I had 3 kids and needed all the hours could get. When I got back to the hotel, the guy Ted was there with his wife Barbara, who also worked at the front desk. She was shocked to see me. She thought I would still be in the hospital. I thought I had only been hit in the head once after being punched. The video which Ted was pulling for the police showed a different story. After I went to one knee, the guy had hit me not just 1 time, but 10 total times. I kept trying to grab the pipe and get up for some reason. I do not remember that. I guess I was out on my feet. He kept punching me and hitting me with the pipe. Till his friend tells him Andrew got away and then got the cops. The two of them then run out. I was given a room at the other hotel we own, and Ted and Barbara gave me a lift there as I was in no condition to drive due to the morphine. They also gave me a paid week off to heal. They switched me over to the other hotel on night shift for a month just in case they were after me in particular. We never found out why they chose to attack me. The police thought it might be a failed strong-arm robbery, due to Andrew getting away and me not just going down. It shook me up though, not knowing. Thank you guys so much for watching my first video. Please leave some tips for me in the comments so I can improve. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking it for the YouTube algorithm. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.